The truth is, I never knew I'd become a nurse coach. In fact, I had an entirely different path all planned out. Like most of you, I come from a working class family. And what's the fastest way to advance your life when you come from that background? Well, you earn more money. And what's the highest paying, non-managerial position in nursing? Nurse anesthesia. So that's what I grew up knowing I would do. In fact, I have this distinct memory of sitting at the dinner table when I was around 10 years old, practicing how to say nurse anesthetist over and over and over again with my mom. That's a tough word for an adult, never mind a little kid, and I must have practiced it a few hundred times before I got it right. And when I grew up and entered the real world of nursing, I was enthralled by this profession, by the seamless blend of human relations, of high-tech healing, and critical thinking. And in an acute setting, I crushed it. If you are at all sick, if you found yourself in an emergency, or if you just had open heart surgery, I was the nurse you wanted by your bedside. And why? Well, I was universally aware, relentlessly focused, super careful, and able to prioritize. I did all the things a great bedside nurse would do. I would quickly build rapport with anyone from any walk of life. And I excelled at rapidly checking off the documentation boxes on the computer so I could spend more time with you, your family, and helping you heal from whatever mess life decided to throw at you that week. In fact, towards the end of my 7 years in ER and CVICU, I ended up hiring a private tutor so I could relearn algebra, pass the GRE, and get into grad school. And for someone who doesn't like math, just yuck. The goal was to spend the next 3 years learning nurse anesthesia. But then it happened. My patient had just had $80,000 open heart surgery and was now prescribed alcohol to be administered by yours truly. Oh, and not only that, but he was still 50 pounds overweight, and 3 days later, he was allowed to go outside and have a smoke. And even my ER hardened heart had one of those "what the F am I doing" moments. You know what I'm talking about, one of those moments where the universe gives you a direct download and upgrades your whole internal operating system. And over the course of the next few weeks, I came to realize that so much of my career had been around holding up this system that didn't make any sense. But over the years, I'd become so desensitized to all of the preventable suffering that it had become my new normal. And I'll admit that part of me, in making a pivot to pursue nurse coaching, part of me felt like I was abandoning everything I had worked towards. But the other part of me knew that I had no choice. Because the more I saw, the more I knew I could never look back. The more I learned, the more I realized that I couldn't continue to take part in something that caused me moral injury every single day, practicing in a way that was out of alignment with what I knew and believed to be right. My hands were tied by antiquated hospital policies that kept me from having honest discussions around lifestyle and wellness with my patients. So I made the decision. And here's the truth about why I left hospital nursing. Now, people make a lot of assumptions about exactly why I stepped away from my role in ER and CVICU. No, it wasn't the fact that as a man in nursing with killer hair, I've been called every name in the book. It wasn't the fact that I've been assaulted, pushed, and shoved while caring for people, nor was it that I had to restrain a patient who was screaming that she'd kill me while waving scissors in my face. No, it wasn't the fact that never once was I offered a grief counselor after more than 24 of my patients transitioned to death. I didn't leave the hospital because I'd worked more 16-hour shifts that I could count when there was no backup. Literally no one else, and patients still rolling in the door. So tired that I had to triple check the medications I was administering so I didn't kill someone. And I didn't leave the hospital because I was spending more time clicking boxes than caring for patients. In fact, it wasn't any of that, although it did contribute. What it was a moment of awakening. My moment of awakening was realizing that there were a million ways in which I desperately wanted to help that open heart patient as he recovered from surgery. But the medical model I was a part of didn't provide space for it. Why wasn't he mandated to undergo smoking or alcohol cessation programs before an $80,000 surgery? I watched him leave the hospital about 5 days later without any mention of what got him there in the first place. Not one of his trusted medical professions, including myself, explained to him that the lifestyle decision he makes every single day, those decisions are defining his future. The food he eats, the cigarettes he smokes, the weight he puts on, the number of drinks he opts for each night, and the countless number of medications he'll be putting into his body for the rest of his life. Not once was there a doctor's order for me to educate my patient around how he can make sure that this never happens to him again. Not once was time made so that I could coach my patient to believe in himself and to understand that he actually has so much power over his choices. And in that moment, I knew that as a whole, we had all failed him. So as a result, I chose a new path. The truth is, I never knew that I'd become a nurse coach, but now that I'm here, I realize that this is exactly the specialty I'd always wanted to pursue. I took control of the path I take in nursing so that I can now help hundreds of nurses and thousands of patients take control of their lives and their health. So that's my story about why I became a nurse coach, and I'd love to hear yours. What was your moment of awakening in nursing? And what change did it inspire in you? Let us know. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.